Hey, happy Saturday. Welcome to the stream. How's everybody doing? Happy Saturday. Hope everyone's doing well. First, apologies for not being here last week. Felt a little bit off. I still kind of do. I'm not sure what's going on. But I'll figure it out. The show must go on, I guess. So yeah, how's everyone doing? Hopefully you're doing well. If you're new to the stream, welcome to the stream. It's pretty laid back here. If you've never joined before, my focus is a little bit off, and I never noticed this until afterwards. So hopefully that gets a little bit better. I don't know. My focus for some reason wants to focus on the microphone, even though like I have a big old ginormous head. It should be focusing on my ginormous head, not my microphone. And I never noticed it until later. Anyways, if you're new to the stream, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for being here. It's pretty laid back here. We talk about tech things. We talk about things we're working on, things we're struggling with as far as technology is concerned, things you might be working on at work, or things you want to learn, or things you might want to get into in the future. Also, I release a ton of videos, so anything goes for any video I release too, and I'll try to answer any questions. But mostly we just talk about tech. If you've been here before, you guys know the drill. We're going to talk about all the things that we're working on. If you have something you want to share, absolutely, please do. Feel free to throw it into chat, and we'll get to it. We'll go from the top down, and we'll get there. We run roughly about an hour. I started a little bit late because I had to set up a couple of extra things and make sure that things still worked. So we'll end a little bit late. So want to be respectful of everyone's time. That being said, weather. I usually start with the weather. Weather is great. I don't know about you guys, but weather in the US for me, Midwest, especially Minnesota, is awesome. It's like high of mid 60s, low of upper 40s, maybe 50s, getting down into the 40s. That's a little bit chilly at night for me, but I'll still take it. It's perfect. And today, on top of that, it's cloudy with a chance of rain. Like, I could go without the rain. I actually love cloudy days. I love overcast days more than sunny days. It's kind of weird. So we get a lot of them here in Minnesota. And so, well, actually, it goes back and forth, but we get quite a few cloudy days. So I'm happy. I'm happy about it. We have a lot of clear sunny days when it's wintertime because it's like -20 and clouds can't form. And so, yeah, we actually get a lot of sunny days, but sometimes it's just like way too cold for clouds to even get above us. Anyways, that aside, hopefully the weather is nice in your area and enjoyable. I know if you're in Florida, you got a lot of storms coming, and especially I feel bad for everyone in Puerto Rico too. It's like it's bad down there. So hopefully you're being stay safe and stay dry if you can. So let's talk about it. So let's first of all, I'll go off on a limb and talk about. I'll go first. I feel like this is daily stand-up. I'll go first. Hey, Crack Kitty, real quick, a full year. Don't think I can say the whole stream, but hey, happy to be back semi-regularly. Dude, thank you so much. Thank you for the continued support. 1 year, 12 months. Thank you so much. I'll call out the rest out really quick. Quantum Penguin, resub, tier 1, 20 months. Thank you so much. Block Bogon Networks has resub Prime 5 months, and Snoo. I don't know what the Snoo means, but thank you guys so much for the subs. Real quick, I'll talk about what I've been working on. I've been working on a lot. To be honest, I feel super guilty about not releasing a video this morning. It's one that I've been working on along with a lot of other stuff. Like, you see some stuff over there. Yes, it's TV. It's not going to be there forever, but it's going to be somewhere else, and I want to do something else with it. So I've been doing some home projects along with my tech projects, my home projects, I've been still doing the 100 days of homelab. I think I'm on day 105. I don't know if I'm going to stop. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever stop doing it unless I go on vacation or if I forget to tweet, then I'll break my streak. But I'm going to keep my streak up as long as I possibly can. And it's also, I realized that it's also fun to just like use this hashtag to, connect with other people who are doing things in homelab. 100 days of home lab or not. So it's actually super nice for that. And it just gives me things to talk about or think about or people to connect with. So I'm going to keep doing it. So anyways, yeah, I've been working on just finally really understanding and straightening out my databases in Kubernetes. I have every single database possible in Kubernetes now, and I've been figuring it out and making sure it's HA. Before I was like, yeah, maybe I'll do replicas, maybe I won't. Maybe this one will be HA, this one won't because it sucks in HA, trying to figure that out. But I'm just like, no, I'm at this point now where I just don't want any single points of failure. Well, trying to eliminate as many single points of failure as I can. Dual internet, can't do that yet. Dual router, dual power, can't do that yet. But I have backup battery, backup power, backup, a lot of stuff. Don't have backup internet yet, but me in the future. But I'm trying to, within means, and within software and hardware that I have, trying to eliminate every single point of failure I have. And so for a long time, I was just doing Docker-only databases. Then I moved them in Kubernetes, and I thought, well, this is better. If the service fails or something happens, at least it'll restart itself. But as it's restarting itself, I end up still with some downtime. And I thought, it's good enough. It's good enough. And then the more I started doing it and thinking about it and updating, those containers and updating and patching, I was like, this is not good enough. I want to be able to patch my nodes, restart my nodes, and have everything stay up. Not just gracefully recover, but also gracefully fail over. And so that's what I've been working on. So far, I've gotten MongoDB, which was the most toughest one I've had to do yet. Postgres, pretty easy. MariaDB, I found out this morning that it's not the default MariaDB will help you create secondaries, but it doesn't give you HA or a cluster out of the box. It basically creates two replicated sources. I don't know if they're masters or one's read only. I think it's a read and a write, and so your primary is your write, and your secondary is the replication set. But if the primary fails, it doesn't gracefully fall over. So I was like, what is even the point of this? And I realized that this morning. So I was like, I was digging and searching, and I figured out that now Galera has, it's so crazy. I'm using MariaDB, and then Galera creates clustering for MariaDB, and then Bitnami creates a Helm chart of Galera for MariaDB. That's for my MySQL. How many chain of dependencies can I have in this? But that's just the way things are. So anyways, I'm gonna swap out that. Redis, I haven't figured that one out either, because they do Sentinels and they do all this stuff that I don't even know if I want to dive into. But every time I say don't want to dive into it, 3 weeks later, I wish I dove into it when I was in it, when I'm in the weeds like I am now. I'm like, the best opportunity for me to actually learn this and figure this out is while I'm in it, not 3 weeks later when I've already forgotten everything and trying to figure it out again. So anyways, long story short, that's what I've been working on. I think I said this a couple weeks ago before I did my video on my Stornator that I'm so Kubernetes'd out, but I think now I'm so Kubernetes'd out. I'm once I get this, I feel like this is my very last single point of failure that I can control. Then I want to figure out. So anyways, that's enough about what I'm working on. I'd love to hear what you're working on, because it's refreshing to hear things other than Kubernetes. But you can share stuff if you're working on Kubernetes. Totally fine with me. I'm totally cool with that. I'm just YAML all the time. So anyways, yeah. So if you have something you want to share, absolutely throw it in chat. We'll get to it. So real quick, I'm gonna look at the events and call these out for sure. And I'll call them out again, subs too for sure. But really quick, before I went live, there were quite a few events. So I'm gonna start here. K4RR4S, thanks for the follow. GridX, thanks for the follow. Majestic L, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. And then Quantum Penguin, his resub, tier 1, 20 months, thank you so much. Block Bogon Network says his resub, Prime, 5 months, Snoo, thank you so much. And Crack Kitty, again, Prime, 12 months, 1 year, man. Glad to see you back in chat. Sub or not, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you back in Discord. Hope everything's well. Wow, full year. Don't think I can stay the whole stream, but happy to be back semi-regularly. So, hey, Crack Kitty, Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So, anyways, let's get in the chat, see what you guys are working on, and maybe there's something I can help with, and maybe not. It's totally fine. If you want to make a statement, they don't all have to be questions. And the lag time back there is kind of tripping me out right now, but that's okay. I figured I want to put something on that screen, at least for now. I'm going to do something with it later. Better than like a black box being there. So I figured I wired up this whole entire contraption just to get that to work before I mount that up on the wall. So anyways, let's see. I got this craziness going on here. Let's see. Who was here first? Let's answer that question. I know who was here first. Who was here first. And it was Grog Malblood. He was first at 2:47. So 13 minutes early. Hey, thanks for being here. How you doing? PC Geek, quick. He was close. He was there. How you doing, PC Geek? Good to see you, man. Hope everything's well. And then we're going to get into when this started pulling up. Ampershar, how's it going? Howdy. How are you? Ampershar has a question. Does anyone else dance to the intro music when they're alone and just don't care like me? Yeah, I get a little head bob going sometimes. It's kind of like my intro music. Like if I was a pro wrestler, like if any of you were a pro wrestler or a boxer or something, or what would be your walkout music? And that's what I kind of do. I mixed it up most of the time because some of the music is from my last video, and I always like refresh this playlist that I have. But most of the time I try to think of it like, if you were a boxer, a kickboxer, or MMA, or a pro wrestler, what would be your walkout music? So hopefully, yeah, good energy then if you're dancing by yourself. Ampershar, while doing Windows 11 updates on all systems, of course, dancing during that, yeah. Yeah, Windows 11 updates are, they're often, which is fine. They're often, and I'm cool with that. Windows 10s are too. They're revving, but Windows 11s, yeah, they are definitely often. I do them all the time. I've been, so far, like, Windows 11 updates have been great. I do complain about this a little bit, not a complaint, but feedback to the Microsoft team or whoever. I don't know if this is a Microsoft issue or a GoXLR issue, or a Discord issue. But the combination of the three, every now and then, one of my updates, I have no audio. So I don't have any audio on my microphone and only in Discord. So I have to fumble around and try to get my audio to work to join Discord voice chat. So speaking of, I will hop in Discord voice chat afterwards. I know I haven't been able to stay too long last time, but I'm going to hop in for a little bit after this. If you're interested in joining, absolutely join our Discord community. We got a bunch of people that are interested in a lot of tech and a lot of other things. And we usually do a quick voice chat afterwards. So yeah, happy to have you join. If you need a link, they're everywhere. If not, use exclamation point Discord. So yeah, lots of Windows updates. I'm cool with that. I love updates. I know people groan about updates, but I love updates. I love updates. I love firmware updates. I don't love breaking changes. Hey, Morax. Let's see. Morax has sub Prime. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. Thanks for spending on me. I appreciate it. Thank you. But I love updates mainly because it means, and there were two. I don't know if that's possible, but thank you. I got 2 alerts. If you did twice, I don't know how that's possible. But thank you. But I love updates mainly because it means someone still cares about this product that you're using. I know a lot of people groan and like, oh, these updates are breaking stuff, and I look at it from a consumer, that someone still cares about this product. Someone still cares about this product. They're putting either bug fixes or tracking or whatever you want into it. Someone still cares enough to write code, to get it deployed, to get it out to people, and I'm cool with that. I'm always cool with that. It's when you stop getting updates that you start groaning, because that means they no longer care about the thing you're using. So I look at it in that light. JCX, hey, stream hype. How's it going, JCX Live? Good to see you. I'm early for a change. Yeah, thank you. I do apologize. Yeah, and thank you for razzing me last week in Discord about not going live. Well deserved. Razz me if I cancel a stream because I shouldn't. But again, like, just something's going on. I don't know what it is for a couple of weeks. Little head, little stomach. Haven't figured it out. But I will. I'm good though. Otherwise I'm good. JCX, since when was this a Twitch sub? Since when was Twitch. Oh, I think people have gifted them every now and then. People have gifted them. Quantum Penguin, howdy y'all. Good to see you. Good to see you. Morax, Nostal. Yeah, horns, skull horns. All right, yeah. If you use the ASCII versions, they show up here. Custom emojis won't show up here. So, and a little tip: if you're on Windows, it's Windows key and period to open up the emoji keyboard. If you're on a Mac, I think it's Option, Control, and Spacebar. I don't know why I know those. I do, because I use them a lot. JCX Life, 3-month sub. I never subbed on Twitch except for gifts. I'm a Patreon. LOL. Thank you for both. Yeah, so you have a 3-month streak, all gifts. That is awesome. Thank you to those who have gifted. Aprashar, howdy, how are you? JCX Life, but apparently I've hit a 3-month streak. That is awesome. That's got to be a first for sure. I fixed some Home Assistant woes with a sensor. Sometimes had connection issues, so it just made it use the last known good value. And some new features to a bot of mine this week. Awesome. Yeah, that's an awesome update. Home Assistant sounds awesome. And then some bot updates. Hey, I'm all about that. I've been doing lots of bot stuff, and I did lots of bot updates this week for sure. Vinny, sexy server time. All right. Yeah, kind of weird, but kind of true. Morax, framing a wall in my shed so I can wire up power and network drops. This sounds awesome. You know, over the last, 100 days, 105 days during this 100 days of homelab, I've seen all kinds of like network and server rooms that are outdoors, well, in a shed. And I've just been like, I'm so intrigued. I've seen people putting them in their garages or remodeling their garage, doing the same thing with building whole entire sheds to put the stuff in. I'm like, man, I kind of want to get on this train. I kind of do. I don't know. We've considered not remodeling, but tearing down a garage and putting up a new one, but not sure we want to make that investment yet. But if we do, for sure, I'm going to put my server room in there for sure, because it'll stay nice and cool during the winter. Maybe too cold for here. Grog Malblood. Hey, Techno Tim, I'm working on migrating all of my VMs and containers to a new Optiplex host and converting my now rack-mounted R720 into a proper NAS. All right, so awesome. So migrating VMs and containers to a new Optiplex, Dell Optiplex host, and converting my now rack-mounted R720 into a proper NAS. That sounds awesome. I'm curious about the choice between why did you choose Optiplex for your containers and stuff like that, and then your NAS on the 720, probably disks or something like that, or redundancy. I'm betting only because like R720 is a lot of compute, and so you could probably put it all on there, but I'm sure you want to separate those. And so if you're going to have them both on anyways, you might as well choose the most reliable one, or the one that has the most failover options, as I've been learning lately. But it sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. I'm jealous whenever people start new projects. I get lost in starting new projects. But then again, I have very long tails on projects I have open, like, like this Kubernetes stuff. And I have so many like projects in flight that it's like there's a long tail, but it's not like I abandon them. I'm just like, I do them into completion, or I get tired of them. And that's when they're complete. Hey, Mafni. Hey, how's it going, Mafni? Good to see you. Resub, tier 1, 23 month streak. Hello, everyone. Almost 2 years. Mafni, thank you so much for the continued support and all you do in Discord. Good to see you. How are you? Piece of Geek, this is the banger. I saw when you said it. Yeah, my intro one, I think, might stick around for a while, because I really enjoy it. And believe it or not, that's from the YouTube audio library, 100% free. And I was like, man, I want it. I want to keep this around. But yeah, I enjoy it. I know exactly what song you're talking about too, because I saw your comment when you posted it. JCX Life, that 10,000 subs on the dot matrix LED is a bit of an old clip now. It is. Yeah, good call. Yeah, on my Raspberry Pi, the video clip that I have on there is 10,000 subs, which was a while ago. Yeah, I need to refresh it. I need to keep up on my montage. I basically I don't know. I shouldn't even start, but I was saying, if there was a way I can auto select, you know how like if you have Google Photos or Apple Photos, how they build like a memory for you off your photos. I wish I could do that with my videos now. I'm sure there's services out there, but I just want to do that with like all of my B-roll, my edited good B-roll, instead of me splicing it in. So it would just automatically do it, automatically pick it, and generate it prior to, and then I would just always have it. I basically want that feature locally so I can do it to generate my intro footage and stuff like that. So, but I'm sure it's out there. But if it is, please don't tell me, because that'll be another rabbit hole I go down. But I kind of want that feature locally. I don't care so much about, face recognition and all that stuff. I basically want to create video memories or video montage or even picture montages locally without having to use some third-party service that automatically detects or figures out what they feel is interesting, because they do an okay job at it. But yeah, I will refresh it. I will refresh it sometime. Salvarius, Piece of Geek, you have some mash to go with it. With the bangers and mash. Fred Broad, recovering my cluster from losing Cluster Master 1. Yeah, I heard about this in Discord, and you kind of gave me a shout out, Fred Broad. Yeah, so it stinks when you lose a master node or a server node in your Kubernetes cluster. But as long as you have an odd number and of nodes and more than 2, should recover at least 1. You can have 1 failure. You have to scale out exponentially before you can lose multiple. But if you have 3, you can lose 1 and still maintain your Kubernetes API and stuff like that. And we're specifically talking about etcd and control plane. I mean, but the same goes with your services too, if they can scale. Anyways, yeah, it's pretty awesome if you just join another node and it will automatically pick up and replicate everything, and it's ready to go. I had to do the same thing last night. Last night, one of my Kubernetes nodes, for whatever reason, I was patching a whole bunch of my Ubuntu servers. One lost its NIC, but it didn't. I couldn't get an IP address, and I'm blaming it on me doing dist upgrades now versus just regular upgrades. And I lost my NIC. I couldn't get an IP. I looked at, I was sure to look at my net plan. Net plan was good. Everything was good. But for some reason, my Proxmox node could not get an IP address. And I was like, what the heck do I do now? I ended up restoring that node. Shortly after, another node did the same thing. And I'm like, what the heck? I was like, all right, I'm just going to burn this thing down and reinitialize one and rejoin to the cluster. And that's exactly what I did. And within, 5-10 minutes, I had another node up and going and running Kubernetes. But yeah, which is fine. That's the whole cattle mentality, is just like, hey, if one dies, it's kind of morbid. But if one dies, you just replace it. And that's what I'm going to automate some of this a little bit more than I have now. Like I have K3S and all this fully automated for deployments. But I would love to automate just like, hey, just add a new node to this cluster, and maybe it's run my playbook again or something, just so I can totally automate that piece. Yeah, node went down. Yeah, whatever. Can't communicate with it. Rebooted it a couple times. Doesn't come back up. Just plop another one in there. But that takes some DNS automate. That takes a lot more automation than I'm willing to write right now, because I firewall rules and all this stuff. But maybe it's just take it down and replace it and keep the MAC address. So that would be fine. Just take it out of the cluster, tear it down, build it back up, give it the same MAC address, rejoin as if it's never been joined before, and it should be good. Black Bog on Networks. I appear to be stuck at the starting soon screen. Hopefully not. Just refresh. Salvarius, Johnny Depp on my screen. Yeah, I don't know. I get that all the time. So I'll take it. C-Wrong. Hi, how are you? Yo. Aprashar. You lack focus at times. I do. Metaphorically and literally. I do. I get sidetracked, and also my camera. It likes to focus on this microphone. I just want to cover it up, which is okay, because then it just doesn't focus on my face. But I don't know. We'll see. JCX Life, is that stream inception at the back on stream of the TV? It is. It is stream inception. If it was a little bit adjusted, you could see the inception going all the way down, So yeah, it is. Like I said, trying something new. Also, it's a place to just like kind of chill every now and then in here and like not think about Kubernetes and my cluster and do something else. Or wife and I, watch TV just real quick as if we need another TV, but it was kind of convenient to do something I want to do in the future, plus put it here. So yeah, it's just another TV for now. I have a whole entire kit to mount it and everything, and I think I'm going to get to that today or tomorrow, but I need to wrap up my video I was just talking about here in a little bit. Reason Tech, I'm not too concerned about AI taking over until it leers not to focus on the mic. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. It's like, yeah. Until it can focus on the mic, for sure. Like this, it should be better. I don't know my camera, is pretty rudimentary. It's like, what do you want to focus on? Subject, which doesn't do well. Wide, which it doesn't do well. Or a spot, which it would do well if I didn't move around all the time. So I feel like when I review this, my mic is going to be crispy clear and my face is going to be a little bit blurred, but that's totally okay. Hopefully it's okay. Most people watch in a small screen though, or far away from a big screen, so it might not even be noticeable. Reason Tech, big fan of rain, should move to Wales. I am. Well, let me say this. I'm a big fan of overcast and then maybe rain once a week. I'm totally fine with that. I don't know what it is. Whether it's like, I think it goes back to my childhood. I used to play a lot of Nintendo when I was younger. A lot of video games, tons of video games. It was pretty much what I did for like 10 years of my life. I didn't talk much, and I played a lot of video games. And I think either parents or friends would be like, go outside or let's go do stuff. And I'm just like so into video games that that's what I did for a large portion of my childhood. And so I think I kind of like tied the two together where I wouldn't feel guilty if it was raining and cold outside to be playing video games. I don't know. Or if my mom or dad was like, go outside, it's so nice out. Well, like if it's not nice out, then they can't say that. So I could continue playing video games. I don't know, whatever it is. I really enjoy overcast days and I like cooler days. I don't like to be warm. That's for sure. Ask my wife. It's like, turn into a different person when I'm hot. Render fast. Weather is looking to interrupt my 100 days. Hurricane in the neighborhood. Yeah, that's I see it. It's projected, I think, to go up through the Caribbean, however you say it, into Florida and maybe up. But hopefully you stay safe and it's okay. Like and as I say with anything with these 100 days of home lab, does it have to be contiguous? No. If a hurricane comes, can you pause it for 5 days? Sure. Don't feel bad if you have to pause it. So, but be safe. Hopefully you're safe. JCX, there was a day last week where the temperature was noticeably dropped here too. It was kind of like summer. Then boom, it was much colder. Same here. We had the same here in the US. So much we had to close the windows for the first time in months. Yeah, same here. We had that too. And actually for us, it was like, we got to open the windows. It was hot to where like we had to keep the windows closed to keep a little AC in because it was really humid. All of a sudden temperature dropped and then we could open them up. And then it was, it got down into the 40s at night and I was like, nope, we're still going to keep the windows open. Like I love fresh air. I love it. I love if I could keep windows open all year round, I totally would. Florida, like Hodor. Yeah, Florida, yeah, always. I hope everyone down there is definitely safe. Aprishar, too bad you're a guy. I love cloudy also over sunny. You should make it. Hey, come on now. Blog on networks. What's new with you? Snoo, I get it. Snoo. Now I get it. What's new with me? I like it. I think I'm gonna start using that one. What's new with me is everything I talked about in the beginning. Not a lot of snoo besides some of the stuff that I'm kind of working on. New video. Want to get this office kind of straightened out. it's really starting to look like a hoarder's room in here. I need to like kind of simplify some stuff that might help it or support it. I don't know. But I really want to like just kind of get things organized in here so that I can do stuff in the future a little bit easier, because I have a lot of setup and teardown time every time I want to create a video, and that's it starts to wear on you. If it's like, okay, got to switch this, got to turn this camera here, got to do this, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, after you do that, for 2 years, it's kind of like, man, like there's got to be a better way. I basically, and then I don't have any additional space here in this home to be able to go into a room besides this one and do that. But this one is it's my work from home room, it's my record room, it's my tinker on stuff room. And so yeah, at some point I would love to be able to just walk in, have everything set up and press a button. That's the dream, I think, for most creators, is just have a dedicated space where everything is set up and working and you can just press a button and go. Because the setup times can be a drag, and you don't want any kind of drag, I guess, in the beginning. Because you have to bring your best self. And if you're fumbling around with things for 20, 30 minutes before you get started, you're not bringing your best self. Anyways, that's a creator tip that I think most people go through or know about. Reason Tech, any project management tips? Oh, how do you organize and execute all the stuff you do? I don't think I'm the right person to ask. No, maybe I am, because I have a lot of stuff in flight all the time. First, you got to make time for it. And that's probably the toughest part about it all, is make time for it. For me, it's planning, putting things. I use Trello, but most of the time I have them in my head. It's not always a good place, because then when I go to the Trello board, I'm like, yeah, I totally didn't do that, and I should have done that. So my first place is get it out of your head and put it somewhere. I put mine on a Trello board. Use whatever you want. Basically a big Kanban board where I can have virtual post-it notes that I can move in certain statuses to say, thinking about, doing, blocked, or done. Basically it boils down to that. Ideas or to do. Well, basically I have ideas, and then I have to do, then I have doing, then I have blocked, and then I have done. So ideas sometimes graduate to doing. And if they graduate to doing, then I'm going to do it. Ideas can stay in ideas column forever. And then doing and done is obvious. And then blocked, if I'm waiting on something, if something's getting shipped, or I don't, writer's block or anything like that, blocked by anything, I put it in that column until I can move it out of blocked. And then when I'm done, I move it to done. And I be sure not to move it to done until it's really done. And one place I worked, we had this question that was like, are you done or are you done? Because a lot of times people say they're done, and if they say I'm done, but I have to do these couple of things, they're not truly done. So we would always ask the question, are you done or are you done? So anyways, I try not to put things in the done column until they're done to where I don't have to do them again or look at them again, or at least the thing that I set out to do is done. Anyways, after that, it's setting aside the time. And that, I think that's the hardest or most challenging thing for most people is finding the time. And for some people, it means getting up earlier. For some people, it means watching less Netflix. And for some people, it means, staying up later. I honestly, I choose the staying up later. Not a morning person, but I choose I'm going to stay up later. Some people choose I'm going to get up earlier. Some people choose I'm going to skip this thing that I usually do for a half hour, 45 minutes or an hour. So, and I think if you get the planning done and you allocate the time, the rest will figure itself out. But then you also have to, just work in like, okay, when do I stop? When do I stop? And I think having a good ending point, something that I'm very terrible at doing or thinking about is really having a good cutoff time to where you say, okay, at this point I'm done. For me, that's bad. Like earlier this week, I did something till 2 a.m. But I knew like some of my services were down. I'm like, okay, this is like my home production outage. Do I want to wake up to this tomorrow and think about it all day while I'm at work, or do I want to do it now? So anyways, I think with those two things, it's a great question. I think with those two things, if you figure those two things out, the rest will kind of work itself out. But to each his own. To each his own. JCX Life. I see. I noticed the TV. You did. Things are changing. More screens. Salvarius, is there a video of you melting down while working on your database HA ventures? No. I'm pretty laid back. If you ask my wife, she hears some of the grumbling and stuff, and she's like, "What's going on?" And then I try to explain, or I just say, it's database stuff or Kubernetes stuff. But no, for me, it's more like, there's those. That's about as much as it gets. I stay pretty calm, pretty even keeled. I do joke around a lot with my wife, and and I'm pretty sarcastic, but for the most part, I don't get like super mad or anything like that. I don't know. When growing up, I let the rest of my family do that, and I was kind of the calm, chill person. So. Anyways, but melting down, it's just like this. So there you go. Clip that. And that's me melting down when I'm trying to figure out databases in Kubernetes. And when I say databases, I'm talking about like 5 different database engines, and everyone does it different, and everyone has a different opinion of what HA really means. So trying to figure it all out. JCX, got my day 54 with my 100 days, then pause for now. With the change in Discord and Discord forums and those channels, kind of made it easier to pause. Yeah. You were paused for a little bit because you had to revive your thread. But yeah, we did switch things over to forums, at least for 100 days of homelab, and we opened up some new forums, trying some new stuff. The reason why, I'll say this, is, and I said this in Discord a little bit too, threads are good for figuring things out in the moment. They're not like Twitter threads where they last forever. People can discover them and you can continue to add to them over time. Discord threads have a lifetime and they go away. They get archived, which is not good. That is not good. Like, who wants to write, a thread and have it disappear? It's great for, I think, kind of like a quick huddle to figure something out or not clutter up a channel. But other than that, Discord threads, I don't know. I don't mean to be a hater of Discord threads. I just don't think it works well for a lot of stuff. And that's where I think forums could help. I wish forums were around 100 days ago, right before we started 100 Days of Homelab, because you would see everyone's progress, who started. And you could comment on it and you could browse them. With threads, not so much. You don't know they exist. And it ends up being just a replacement for DMs. And so, me as a Discord admin, I love threads because it keeps things clean. But then me as a Discord community owner hates them because they're not discoverable and they're not inclusive and they're not easily discoverable. So, I got to wear 2 hats. Like, would I rather have things clean and neat, or would I rather have people contributing to conversations? And so for me, I'd rather have people contributing to conversations, even if it means just browsing and reading. Anyways, it's enough about Discord. They seem to keep adding features. I love how fast they're revving and how much they're experimenting. But we'll see where it goes. And again, those threads are only archived. Those channels are archived. They could come back. I didn't delete them, just made them read only. All right, thanks for sharing the link. Morax, I have 2 companies installing fiber in my neighborhood. Yeah, might get redundant internet. Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. 2 companies, 2 fibers. Man, that just doesn't happen. I wish we did. I would think about redundant internet. And I've thought about going the fiber plus Starlink. Starlink's a little bit expensive, but maybe in the future. And the big reason why I say plus Starlink is because I do like the portability, quote unquote. If I wanted to take a road trip somewhere off the grid, I could totally bring it with me. Live my best van life that I don't live. JCX, backup internet here, regular VDSLs, nice. Backup light, internet out to WireGuard VPN, nice. Failover, no disconnects. The stuff online doesn't see your connection has changed. Even SSH doesn't drop. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. I know UDM just added failover and load balancing to my UDM Pro, which is pretty awesome. Need to get into that. But I need to. need to pay for a second internet. And that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know. Arguably, I probably should because I do so much stuff on the internet. I know there will be a time where I'm like, yep, I need a backup internet. I actually tried it. I tried to hack get a 4G modem and go Mint Mobile, ultra cheap. And it started to work, and it did work for outgoing. But I ended up behind CGNAT, and then I had to figure out a whole entire failover plan for CGNAT. And I was like, okay, I know there are tons of workarounds, but I don't want to I don't want to go that route, at least for now. But we'll see. Salvarius, my prediction, I have a prediction. Tim's future will be bright. And I'm sure it's because of the light mode. I like it. I like these. My head hurts already. Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah, talk about Inception. For sure, it totally is. And I have a prediction. My future will be bluish. All right, I like it. Talk about Inception. Yeah, for sure. I have a prediction. Oh, okay. All right, pinkish. All right. Piece of Geek. Sorry, skip this one. Aprashar. Why do multi-vendor databases? Why not stick with one like Mongo? Yeah, Postgres, SQL. I love Postgres. Yeah, me too. I wish I would. I wish I could. That too. But you're kind of, if you're using a service that depends on a handful of databases, you kind of have to use what they use. Postgres isn't a drop-in replacement for, MySQL as MariaDB is. And Mongo for sure isn't a drop-in replacement for anything because, it's a document database, NoSQL database. Hey, Gimli. Is that Gimme? Gimmick. I'm going with that. Hey, thanks for the sub. Tier 1. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But, it all boils down to what, self-hosted services am I using and what do they use? I would love to say, hey, everyone, WordPress and Ghost and, all these other things I use, you guys have to use, Postgres. They're not going to, even both of those services, both WordPress and Ghost, are hesitant to even say they support MariaDB, which is supposed to be a drop-in replacement for it. Mainly because they don't have the throughput to test it on both databases, and they only have the throughput to test it on one, MySQL, the one they started with. So they're like, okay, well, we're not going to say we support the other one, but it might work. And it does, for me, for now. So anyways, yeah, I would love to. And personally, like a lot of my code that I write in Node.js, I use MongoDB, mainly because it's super easy. It's JSON already, and I like to keep my skills kind of sharp. I use SQL databases and at work and in the enterprise, and I use NoSQL at home. It just, it's a nice balance. But yeah, you're kind of bound to whatever the service is you're using, what they say they use. So, but arguably I could. Maybe I should rewrite some of my services to use Postgres, and that would get me off Mongo. But again, I like to keep my skills sharp and just stick with. I use some SQL databases here and some NoSQL databases here, so I kind of am both in both ecosystems. Piece of Geek, because he is a dev and uses different ones for different things. Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah, it's arguably I could switch to Postgres for my personal stuff. For sure. But I do Postgres at work, so I want to keep my skills sharp. Plus broad knowledge. Yeah, that too, for sure. Aprashar, I guess. I just try to be good at something, but I understand different application needs. I hear you too. Like, I'm all for like going deep and being an expert at one thing and totally specializing. 100%. We need that. Absolutely. I'm more of a just like, okay, like, I do some Postgres here enough to understand it and do it. And support it and stuff. I guess a little bit more than just do it. And then Mongo too. Am I doing it according to best practices? Who knows? Does it work? Yes, absolutely it works. So yeah, I like to keep my skills sharp and keep it broad for now, in case I need to dive into something in the future. So at least if people talk about it, I can kind of like say, oh yeah, I've done it. I understand it. Here's how I do it. Or, oh, you do it that way? Awesome. Let me try it that way. PC Geek, I'm with you, Aprashar. I use MariaDB mainly, added some Postgres recently, but only for testing stuff. Been working on SQLize and Node.js. Yeah, absolutely. We talked about that. Yeah, that would be my next foray. If I was going to go with SQL, I would use SQLize to then basically use a database without having to write SQL directly. You basically get all your you can write out your objects and stuff as code basically, so you don't have to write straight SQL. Can't think of the word right now. Brains all over the place. Morax just set up traffic last night, trying to figure out public versus LAN only proxying. Traffic last night, trying to figure out public versus LAN only proxying. Yeah, so I do that. I have I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4 instances of traffic in my environment. Kind of crazy. But yeah, totally. I think I know what you're trying to do. You basically want you want both public and private access to your services. You want, if you're doing a Kubernetes, you want your ingress controller to be traffic to then be a reverse proxy into those services. But if you're doing it in Docker or single node or some other way, you basically want it to be your proxy. Your reverse proxy, I should say. If you're talking about proxy to be able to proxy out through that might be something else. But it's tough. But once you get it, it's awesome. It's awesome because then it's just rinse and repeat. Morax, should I set up 2 traffic instances? Yeah, just talking about that. If you're doing Kubernetes, I absolutely would. And I absolutely do. It just makes things a little bit easier and gives you peace of mind. Then you can separate your concerns because just real quick, there's hand diagrams. If you set up one, you only have one entry point into it, which if you're doing a Kubernetes, you'll have one Metal LB IP address. That's for external access. I'm doing a lot of hand signs. And so you're going to port forward everything to that one IP address. Well, that one IP address will go to the one traffic instance, and then you'll have to create a ton of rules to say, okay, these requests can really go to these pods, and these requests can't really go to these pods because they originated from the internet versus originating from inside of my network. It just gets super confusing. People could, if they wanted to, could figure out a way to trick your host headers to say, hey, no, give me this host header for this internal domain if they knew the name of your internal domain. And you have to create a bunch of rules. So what I ended up doing was saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have 2 traffic instances, one internal, one external, 2 Metal LB IPs, one internal, one external, and only port forward to the external. So then I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry anymore. When I create ingresses, I say, if it's a public service, I create an ingress and just say, hey, your ingress is on the external one. If it's for internal, for something like my Broadlink control right now that controls my lights, only internal, I say, hey, your ingress is the internal one. And so that helps me separate concerns. All of that. So, yeah, I would personally, It does, you do duplicate some code, but at the same time, it saves you headaches of trying to figure out like a lot of your rules per route. For sure. But is it doable? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's doable with one. But I just chose to go the 2 route because that's what I would do in the public web too. I would either create an ingress to poke a hole in the firewall in the cloud, or I would create an ingress internally for other services to access it. So I just treat my home cluster kind of like a cloud cluster. Found a nice project. I don't know what it is because links aren't allowed. That's probably the best way. Thank you, PC Geek. You can tag one using an annotation for external services. Absolutely, yeah. You use the ingress class, and you should be good to go. Sam the Beast, hi, how's it going? Proof intensifies. The Night Arch. Hello, Tim and everyone. Greetings from Brazil. Welcome. Greetings from the U.S. Building my new lab and studio with new cast. All right. Cast. You mean like people? Yeah, sounds awesome. I'll have to check it out. I need a cast. I need a cast. Yeah. Anyways, I would love to have someone else to like be in my videos at some point too. I would love for it just because, and bounce ideas off of and just do stuff together. If you're interested, let me know. The Night Arch, new Cat 6 cables. LOL. Oh man. I was going off cast. Okay, that was a typo. Cat 6 cables. Here I was thinking like, oh sweet, you're building a channel and like you have a cast and I went way off the rails with that one. I should read ahead a little bit. So Cat 6. Okay. Hey, I'm still all for like a cast too. But awesome. Cat 6, new lab, new studio. What's not to love about that? Lord Garden Gnome, waiting for the Proxmox video with Houston UI. It's out there. Well, yeah, it is. It's out there. Well, mine's the Proxmox video. Yeah, we won't get into it. Especially with the new updates, since I've been doing the same thing with my Q30. Keeping awesome. Thank you, Lord Garden Gnome. I do have one that's out there that has the Houston UI just on Ubuntu, because the Houston UI is a totally separately installable package, open source. By 45 Drives, which is based on another open source project called Cockpit. Cockpit's open source, you can install it. So is 45 Drives' Houston UI. Works better on 45 Drive systems, but it's out there. I demoed the new Cockpit. Keep saying Cockpit. I demoed the new Houston UI. In my latest video, that is with that server right there. So if you want to see it, it's definitely there. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. But you don't need to do Proxmox to actually have it run. So you can install it. They have a Debian package, and I think they have a Red Hat Enterprise Linux package too. But yeah, open source, and you can find it at your nearest package manager, I think. You have to look at their docs. JCX, I'm in the green corner. JCX Wang. Nobody needs to know that. Yeah. Giggles. Yeah. In the green corner. Yeah. Nobody needs to know that. Oh, you're good. Pizza Geek, your voice is off. Yeah, I know. I tried to adjust this a little bit earlier because I noticed that just a tiny bit. I'm not gonna go full on out, but I noticed that too. And that's why it took me a little bit longer to go live, because I noticed that anyways, I noticed that there's a sync issue. There shouldn't be. And I'm trying to figure out what it is. Thank you. Double hack slow. MD, Grease Monkey. I updated Proxmox and now IOMMU is not working. Got any suggestions? No. I've been fortunate enough to for all of my IOMMU settings to work, and I've upgraded from 5 to 6 to 7. That's a pretty far upgrade. I would just recommend either looking at their wiki or looking at my IOMMU settings that I have in my documentation page, because those still work for me. I use my documentation page every time I build Proxmox again and I need to pass through some hardware. So, I would look at their documentation page. I've been pretty lucky though. Like I said, I went from 5 to 6 to 7, and my settings still work. Maybe they did some magic, in between, or looked for old settings and migrated settings during the upgrade process. I'm not sure, but that's why I'd start. That's why I'd start for sure. That stinks. That stinks, because that means you can't pass through hardware like you were before. J6 Life, I hate how Windows doesn't remember audio settings, especially when you reboot. Put a cool custom icon for everything, and on reboot, it resets to default. Yeah, I run into that too. It's been a little bit better lately. But every patch, I'm like, I just know when I hop into Discord voice, something's not going to work for the first time. Probably right after the stream, I'll hop in, audio won't work. And I'll be like, see, I told you. Foreshadowing. Reason Tech, I discovered snapshots in Proxmox last week. Oh my God, amazing. Literally undo any screw up or Windows makes. Ha! Always snapshotting before updates now. Yeah, they are awesome. They are fast because they're ZFS, I assume. And yeah, they are great. They're totally great and totally fast. And this save your butt for sure. I run weekly updates on my nodes. I should probably update more than that, but I think I run weekly. I can't remember. I think it's I know they're working because I used them last night. I just don't remember the date. I think I got lucky though, because the update for my one node was the day before. I'm like, good enough. Maybe I should do updates more often, and maybe I should do snapshots too, because I don't. I'm bad. But then again, a lot of my nodes run Kubernetes. I have some very other nodes that don't, and if they died, even if they die, even if I had to restore them from a week ago, I think I'd be kind of okay, which would be weird, but it would be okay. But anyways, yeah, great tip. Snapshots are great. They are fast, and they will save your butt. Recheck settings, maybe go back through the IOM settings. Yeah, for sure. I would just run it again, for sure. For sure. Thug Muffin. I Ansibled, I like it, verb in it. I Ansibled my Mac and Linux machine setup. Nice. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I need to do that at some point. I just went through this exercise of my MacBook Pro. I rebuilt it due to other things. I probably shouldn't even have rebuilt it because I finally figured out what it was. I'm getting thermal throttled. That's a different story for a different day. But I went through the same thing where I just went through and reinstalled everything, and I brew installed every single thing that I possibly could. And I was like, man, I should totally just use Ansible to do this. Hey, Tor Kamada, resub, Prime, 9 months. Got here late, better late than never. No, thank you. Thank you, Tor Kamada. Thank you. Good. Glad to be here. Glad you're here. Thanks for the Prime sub, 9 months. Thank you so much. But I totally agree. Now that I did the brew install, I kind of saved my brew. I forget what it's called. It's like a brew artifact, brew RC maybe. So that maybe in the future, one day, if I need to do it again, here's all the things I installed. Then I can just run brew and point it at that RC file. But yeah, it would be nice. I don't, fortunately, it seems like I rarely need to rebuild my Windows machine or my Mac, or my Linux machines. Servers, yeah. My servers are Ansible-ized. I'm going to use it in a past tense verb, too. They're already Ansibled for my servers, for sure. But my workstations are not. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. That's a good point. Go clone, dot setup, and done. Oh, yeah. I like it. I like it. Yeah, you totally automated that whole thing. Sam the Beast. PSA. If you're doing a video entitled SSL on everything with traffic and Cloudflare, I had a super weird problem where the link just didn't become secure, the traffic panel. I troubleshooted for like 4 days and nothing works, but then went on vacation for a week and just left it on. When I came back, it was working. It took Cloudflare 5 days to secure the link, but now it works. I think Tim even tried to help me and thought it was solved. Wow. Yes. I don't know. I would look at the logs for traffic and see what it was doing. And I'm sure there's some clues in there. Hopefully there's some clues because they log a lot. And maybe there's some clues. Like someone just recently pointed out that you could actually forego like making sure that the TXT record is replicated in the two DNSs that you're pointed at, which I didn't know about. And maybe the DNS, name service that you're pointed at had replication issues, which seems weird because that's DNS's like primary responsibility is for replicating these things, one of them. And so I don't know. Yeah, that stinks. I would check though. I would check to make sure. I would look at the logs because the logs are gonna tell you, or at least give you a clue of where to look. Reason Tech. I never twitched before 2 weeks ago. Came back last Saturday and I thought I broke it. Wait, I never twitched before and I thought I broke it. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you. I never twitched before. I came back last Saturday. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm sorry. You were like, yeah, I'm gonna do this Twitch thing and like just waiting there and like the dude's not even on and you think you broke it. Yeah, I apologize. I usually announce those things in Discord. I try not to do it on Twitter and stuff like that, but maybe I should. But I usually let people know, obviously before the time. How soon before is debatable. I think I've only canceled probably like 4 or 5 streams ever in a couple of years. So, but yesterday last week was another one. But thank you. I appreciate it. Poop gif. Pooped gift. Because emojis are more important than letters. Yeah, emoji tell, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And so emoji's worth at least 100 words. I'd say at least 100 words. Aprashar, I use Chocolate for application updates for all my Windows systems. Yeah, good call. I'm a fan of Chocolate. I've used Choco install. I've done my fair share of Choco installs. I know that Windows has winget now, and everyone's making package managers now for everything. Brews on Linux, Choco is Windows, and now Windows has winget, and who knows what's going on. And Ubuntu, you have so many you could choose from. So, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of Chocolatey. They, it's basically the missing package manager for Windows, but now Windows has one. And I haven't tried it yet. Maybe I should check it out, but it's pretty awesome because they'll install the default install and bypass all the stuff, so you can do it fully automated and have your machine up and running. And it's pretty awesome. It is basically, and it's really awesome for enterprises too, who would basically, before Chocolatey, a lot of enterprises would, get the MSI, figure out an unintended script, disable metrics, disable, agree to the EULA, and do all this stuff that was just like, and then sometimes package maintainers would release a tool to configure your MSIs to be unattended. And I think that Chocolatey really helped change like how even enterprises deploy packages now, because then like an enterprise package, when you deploy it through SCCM or however you deploy software, ends up just being like, hey, run a PowerShell script to do a few things, and by the way, install Chocolatey. Install this Chocolatey package, which is like great, because that's exactly what you want in enterprise. You want it unattended, you mostly want it silent, you don't want any user interaction, you just want to deploy the software. Like, hey, let sysadmins be sysadmins and not worry about how to package this software anymore. So I'm a huge fan of that. Because I think it enabled a lot of automation and help Windows admins be a lot more efficient and not spending their time on how to figure out to create a totally silent installation of thing. You can tell I've done this before, and I've lived through the pain of trying to figure out all the reg keys and how to disable and how to make things totally silent. It's painful. So I'm super grateful for Chocolatey for sure. JCX Life, oftentimes a shed garage is a drier than a basement. Oh yeah, good call. Where most IT stuff ends up. So it kind of makes sense. Yeah, for sure. Because you're not in a damp, dry, possibly leaky basement. Yeah, for sure. I like it. It's high. I can't. Sorry. I wish I'd seen the emoji. PC Geek, probably lower power usage. Oh, in the garage. I think. Apashar, I added power and Ethernet to trees on my property. Wait a second. I added power and Ethernet to trees on my property from my mesh wireless network. Oh, nice. This gives me a reason to go outside and enjoy my property. I love it because I have the same kind of thoughts too. Like, I have those thoughts all the time. Like, I'm like, yeah, this would be so much better with technology. I don't know why. Like in my head, I just think that I'm like, I wonder how I could get a wireless access point out here and a camera and power it and like capture some. So I'm right there with you. A lot of times I think that same thing, like, that's what goes on inside of my head. This would be much better with technology. Oh, I like it. PC Geek, I'm running K3S cluster on 3 Optiplex nodes. Bare metal. Awesome. Yeah, for sure. LOL, accidentally naughty footage release. Hope not. Techno Tim, happy V4. I was like, what? How did I say that? I thought it was saying like, long story. So I get in trouble when I just start clicking and reading. That was me as a bot saying something. But I thought it was someone saying happy something to me. But anyways, Reason Tech, I finally figured out my Nextcloud dataset problem, and I asked you about a couple weeks ago. Do you have any experience with Nextcloud? I do. I have a little bit of experience. Thoughts? Yes, I have some experience. Any idea how to enable virtual files on a Mac client, by the way? That's my next hurdle. Enable virtual files? I don't know. I can't recall right off the top of my head what your question was from 2 weeks ago. But I have done... my dog, buddy, he's... one sec. He does not mess around. He hears brakes squeaking and he is all over it. Anyone, I feel bad for anyone who has squeaky brakes who drives down my street because he automatically thinks it's UPS or FedEx or the Prime, and he is just on it. Anyways, I don't recall at the top of my head. Ping me in Discord. We'll figure it out. I've done a lot of stuff with Nextcloud. I've used it, didn't use it, used it, didn't use it. I'm in the didn't use it phase again, but I've done quite a bit with it. So ping me in Discord more, or refresh my memory, or point back to the comment where you had asked a question, or repost again. Martin, hi Tim. Do you have any experience with PyKVM, IPMI with Raspberry Pi? I don't. I've seen it. I've seen it from Jeff Geerlin. I've seen it from a couple of people. I don't have any experience with it. I've been fortunate enough to most of my machines have IPMI. Would be cool to have it inside of my PC. I mean, but it's rare that I go anywhere, for one. And two, that I need to power on that machine outside of there where Wake on LAN alone doesn't work. So I haven't. I think it's an awesome concept. I've seen Jeff Geerling's recent video on the PyKVM using a compute module that runs on PCI Express card that you plug in, which sounds awesome because it's basically like build your own IPMI, which is awesome. Well, I mean, it's remote, but at the same time, you'd be able to power it on and get in there. So awesome. I haven't. I think it's awesome, but maybe someday. PyKVM folks are pretty good Pete's, very quick at answering issues on GitHub. Awesome. Yeah, I should look at it for sure. JCX, upgrade first, then dist upgrade. If you want to do both once, try full upgrade. I do the two-step since it's usually safer. Maybe that's my problem. Because I got burned on the app dist upgrade, like, I don't know, about 10 years ago. You know how that goes. I got burned on it about 10 years ago, and I was just like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to do apt upgrade, and I'll wait until the next LTS, and then I'll hop on that. And things are fine and dandy for years. Well, the last, I'd say 2 weeks, I've been doing a dist upgrade because I'm like, okay, let's live a little more dangerously. And I heard if you do it often enough, it's pretty okay. But I'm running this thing like daily or every other day. And just recently, in the last couple of days, and I think it's KubeVip. Not KubeVip. I think it's KeepAliveD that actually did it. Not pointing any fingers. But the only machines that had the problem where the NIC disappeared were machines that I had KeepAliveD on it. So maybe some conflict with KeepAliveD and something else. I'm not sure. Anyways, I do like that. Maybe I'll try that first, is do the 1-2 punch of first an upgrade, then a dist upgrade, follow up really quickly with that. But then again, it's like I kind of feel like maybe I should just go back and be a little safer. If you're talking about Debian or Proximox, well, Proximox, I always do a dist upgrade because that's what the UI runs. I'm just talking about Ubuntu in general, just Ubuntu or Debian in general. Proximox, I think, when you run it from the UI, it definitely does do the dist upgrade. Reason Tech, how long have you been working in tech? It seems, I don't know, you've accumulated a ton of diverse knowledge. Okay, how do I answer this question without dating myself? Because if I say how long, then you could do the math to figure out how old, because then you would assume that maybe I got into it right after college. I don't know. A long time. I don't think that time for me has been the biggest factor. I mean, it adds to it, but you know, tech gets older and deprecated and move on to new tech over time. So for me, it's been just wanting to do a variety of things. You know, when I started out in IT, I started out in tech support. I got to learn about infrastructure. I got to learn about, you know, imaging hard drives. I got to learn about how to pull out printers, pull out paper jams, which for me was an important lesson. And not just how do I get paper out of this, but how do I, you know, everything around that type of printer, how do I do it? And also like customer service around that, you know, hey, you have a problem. Hey, I'm here to fix it. I did fix it. I verified the fix. Let's print. Let's, you know, get it working, whatever. So I did a ton of stuff in tech support. Then I did some stuff in system administration that taught me more about servers and all of that. While in tech support, I got lucky because they let their tech support team configure switches that were only connected to PCs. The rest, they were like, nah, don't touch it. But that was fine, mainly because we didn't have a lot of network administrators at the time. So I got to learn about Cisco switches, how to change VLANs, what VLANs were. And then I got into automating some imaging because I was so tired of just imaging stuff with Ghost at the time. That might date me. But Ghost was a great product, but I wanted to be able to do Pixie Boot, Wake on LAN, and transfer images onto a machine. That taught me all about that, of what Pixie Boot and what networking and how to do that properly on a VLAN without broadcasting and bringing the whole entire network down. Not that I did that, but maybe. And then, that taught me about, okay, well, I want to start automating packages, what we were just talking about. I'm tired of installing all of this stuff manually and double clicking it or saving it to an image. I want my image to be a based image. And my base image wants to be plain, except for things that are absolutely critical. Install software later. Very similar to what I do now with Cloud Init and Ansible. It's the same idea. Cloud Init is my base image. Keep it plain. Don't put anything on it. After that, follow up with Ansible and install all of my software afterwards. Same thing I did on Windows. Create a master image or a base image. Install packaged software afterward with SCCM. The only difference is I had to write the scripts to actually do that. Anyways, it just went on from there. I kept getting deeper and deeper into IT, and then I got to a point where I was like, I want to do something else. Instead of like running other people's scripts, I want to create the scripts myself. So I learned a lot about automation. Then I got bit by the automation bug, and then I was like, okay, well, apps are real big right now. I'm interested in some stuff. Those apps don't exist. I want to create apps. So I taught myself how to write code. I was like, it's got to be like scripting. I was wrong. It's kind of, but not really. So then I learned all about software development, and then I just like went into software development for a long time. I'm still in there now. But then because of that, Kubernetes came up, Docker came up, and we didn't have people on the teams who knew about it or cared about it that much. And I was like, I care about it. I want to know about it because I was in infrastructure before, and that kind of fit into that whole entire role. And so, this new DevOps thing was popping up. And so I was like, okay, I'm a developer. I like this. I like infrastructure. And then I joined a team that was a DevOps team before DevOps was called DevOps. And that's what we did. We build pipelines and we built internal tools for this company to deploy their code out to web servers, not even using containers. This is all like Microsoft build stuff and building stuff in Ruby and Java and all of that. I mean, it was a collection of scripts, but it worked. And it was great. Anyways, and then from there, software development. And then, at the same time, I was always bringing this information home, applying it to old machines that I had. One time my manager gave me this old piece of junk compact computer. Compact's not even around anymore. But it gave me this compact computer, and that was my test everything. That was my home lab. I mean, we're talking a long time ago. That was my home lab for a long time. And that's where I tested everything. Tested things I want to learn. Tested things I want to bring into work, or things at work I learned I wanted to bring home. And so, I don't know. I could talk about this all day, but I've been doing it for a long time. But what I'm realizing is that a lot of the things that I have learned are just getting recycled again. Just like I said, like, hey, I wanted to figure out how to automate an image, a Windows image, and install software on it. That's very similar to what I just did, a couple of months ago on a video with Cloud Init. But it's a cloud-based approach. I want to take a cloud image, a base image of something, and make that my master or my gold image. And then after that, I want to automate and install software on it with Ansible. And it's very similar to what I did in Windows. And so for me, I mean, maybe it is time where I'm able to connect the dots, say, okay, that's kind of like that. In my head, I can say, this process is like this new process. And those are things you'll get over time. But other than that, it's just always having this I don't know, this desire to do things. And that's what it's been for me, a desire to do things, a desire to learn about things, but also being cautious not to, I am very cautious about like how deep I go on some stuff. That kind of bites me sometimes. I mean, that bit me with the databases. I was like, I only need to know enough to get this thing running. And then look at me, what I was just saying the other day. I was just like, or earlier today, I was like, I wish I would have just dove in a little bit deeper and figured it out. Anyways, maybe I'm rambling, but it's just always just been this desire to do and learn, and having the time to do it too. That's a huge part, and having someone who supports me in all of my weird ways and everything I want to learn and do. That definitely helps for sure. Anyways, it's a good question. You probably were like, whoa, I was okay on minute 2, but once we got to a minute 10, that's a little bit too far. But I've been working in tech ever since I got out of college, and made that choice. And I never really said I wanted to be one particular thing. I just always gravitated towards the thing I wanted to do next. And I still do that. I still do that today. I mean, I work for a small startup. I write a lot of code, but I do gravitate towards, it's a weird juxtaposition, but I love DevOps and I love writing front end code. And it's like the two opposite, ends of the spectrum, but I love it. I love it. I love writing front ends. I love doing things in React and React Native and doing mobile. And I love doing UI stuff when people, don't really like it that much unless you're in that ecosystem. Don't get me wrong. I love middle tier and I love back end stuff too. Not as much. And then I really love DevOps and automation. And it's like I'm at these weird ends of the spectrum. Anyways, long story short, I geek out on tech all the time. Anyways, wow, I'm way over. I'm gonna look real quick for people that are looking for, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna roll with it real fast. Hey there, greetings from the Netherlands. I was just about to say your videos are really helpful. Thank you, Shepard. Dimaloon. I'm doing bad, but still learning about Kubernetes. One thing I struggle with right now is that the deployments don't have automatic internet access. Is that correct? Should they automatically have internet access? Yes, absolutely. Deployments you should think of deployments. Deployments have pods, not important, but those are really just processes running on that node, servers. And those processes should have internet access if the node has internet access. There's nothing special you should have to do. So it might be configuration, it might be DNS, but they should be able to communicate with the internet. There's nothing in Kubernetes that says you can't. So it's got to be configuration on your node. Maybe it's DNS or firewall or something like that, but they should be able to communicate out. If on the node you could do an NS lookup or a ping or a curl on something on some endpoint and that works, that should work inside of the container. If it doesn't work inside of the container, it's probably DNS because it's always DNS. And that could be anywhere from resolve.conf, or the other one that I always forget about is setting a search domain on your domain. If you're using K3S, not going to work because it'll like append that domain into those requests too. So if you're using a search domain on this VLAN and you have that configured in DHCP, turn it off. You will have nothing but problems, and it doesn't help you anyways because Kubernetes has its own internal DNS. And then if you need to communicate within that VLAN on the nodes, just use a fully qualified domain name and don't fall back to search DNS within DHCP. Turn that off and your life will be happy. I'm betting it's that or DNS on the machine. Those are the two I've run into. PC Geek, I have to take out the air conditioner out of Windows today. Well, I was thinking for a second like that was a pun on Windows, like the system. And hey, good time to do it. Good time to do it. Let's see. I thought I saw something in here. I'm gonna go with people like asking questions. Alfie Trust, how's it going? Techno Tim recently saw Der 8 video where Windows snuck a BIOS update in that broke a system. Turns out there's no way to prevent Windows from fiddling or completely overriding the BIOS, which is somewhat concerning. Yeah, so it's probably UEFI. I'm assuming it's UEFI. But yeah, that doesn't sound right. I mean, I know that Microsoft can do it to their own devices, Surface. But yeah, doing it on non-Microsoft devices is kind of weird. Kind of weird and not good. Fortunately, mine's been able to boot up. I have been, like I mentioned earlier, the only problems I had was audio issues, and I forgot about this one. In a recent update over the last, I'd say 2 days, 3 days, my machine sometimes crashes when I put it to sleep. Because I put my machine asleep a lot because I have 3 monitors with at least 800 tabs open in Chrome because I need 800 tabs. And I have everything arranged a certain way, and I have a debugger and everything open. So I'm like, yeah, I'll put it to sleep. Come back, machine's off. And I always have to question myself, like, did I accidentally shut it down? Or did I put it to sleep? The tell, though, is when I go to launch Chrome, Chrome says, do you want to restore your session? And I say yes. And, Chrome, 50 instances of Chrome and 25,000 tabs each pops open. And then I'm like, okay, so it did crash while I was sleeping. So anyways, it's been happening to me a lot. And Windows has been so stable on sleeping for a while. On laptops, it never likes to stay asleep. Like my wife's kicks on and it sounds like it's, 747 taking off in the middle of the night because probably a corporate, it is a corporate laptop, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Anyways, that's a different story altogether. But for me, like putting my desktop to sleep has been super stable. I've never had to think twice about it. It has whatever 20 gigs of RAM cached and everything's running and back and up and running as soon as I get back. Even if I'm like mid edit on a video, it always works. But over the last, I'd say week, it hasn't been. So I'm blaming that on an update of Windows 11. But okay, so anyways, yeah, that is concerning. I hope it's not true, because this isn't a Microsoft device. This is an ASUS device that happens to run Windows. Like, shouldn't be modifying my hardware. I could understand maybe doing some UEFI stuff, but that kind of crosses. UEFI is kind of weird because it's like an in between thing, like where the firmware actually lives. But let's see. I'm gonna look for direct mentions only because I'm way over today. But I owe it to you guys because I wasn't here last week. But at the same time, I always want to be respectful of your time. I'm gonna look and I am gonna call it. Hey guys, thank you so much for being here on this Saturday. I do appreciate you coming out and for being here and sharing what you're working on. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to connect later or join our Discord, you absolutely can. There's Discord links like everywhere, and thank you for sharing them, both of you guys. Thanks for sharing them. Greatly appreciate it if you join. You don't even have to say anything. You can totally just lurk, 100% okay. You could lurk forever. It's totally fine. And, it's pretty laid back server, low pings, all that. I will be jumping into voice chat here in a little bit. I think that most folks might be. It looks like people are in Azrath, so I'll hop in Azrath here in about 3 minutes after I think my wife's home. Just say hi to her real quick, and then I'll hop into voice chat. If you're interested in chatting some more or talking about other things or sharing some stuff, let's do it. And I will be back next week. I will have something out for you this week. It might even be before Saturday, only because I couldn't get the thing done before today. So I don't know. I might go way off kilter and release a video midweek. We'll see. So anyways, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for the subs and thanks for the follows. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you a little bit in voice chat on Discord. And to everyone else, be good to each other. Take care, folks.